What the hell is going on in Congress? This is version 3 or episode 3 of the Banking Committee. What's going on in the Senate with a Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee? There's some crazy clips from some individuals here talking about crypto. This just happened a couple days ago. I wanted to bring these clips to my channel because they're very important. This is the conversation going on in America about digital assets, and you need to hear all of this because it affects you and it affects me. So let's get into this. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To all of you for being here. If we take a look at this Congress, you have to sort out what the art of the possible is. Every Congress is a little bit different. We have divided government here. And while I hope we can look at some big things, I'm really wanting to get down into some singles and doubles. Professor, I heard you talk about an idealized framework from your perspective. That's a big lift and not likely to occur. What I'm also worried about is with the lack of information that we could overreach. And Professor Jing, you mentioned GDPR. I follow that fairly closely. It was a good, broad, and regulatory construct that has met with some challenges. They've had to go back and refine it. So I think we need to get it right. So I tend to be more on the singles and doubles approach to addressing some of the problems of building over time. I thought that Senator Vance's analogy on the internet was a good one. Now, we have a hearing downstairs right now talking about protecting our children on the internet. We've got a lot of work to do in that space, but I think overreaching could have set us back by a decade or generation of innovation. So one of the things that we've looked at that I don't think would be particularly controversial, but what I would put in the single or double category is a proof of reserves requirement. If we saw that in the FTX world, we could have avoided.
So proof of reserves, what he's talking about here is that certain laws being passed in places like Europe, there's a temporary law there that if you are a bank that is holding cryptocurrency, you need to hold in reserves $1 per $1 of crypto that you hold. So they would need to hold like a euro that backs up their 2 XRP, for an example. If they had 1,000 XRP and XRP was at 50 cents, they would need to hold, if they had 1,000, they would need to hold $500 in euros to back up that asset. $1 billion in crypto is $1 billion in assets. So just in case there's volatility in the crypto market, the bank is there and they have money. And if they lose everything in crypto or digital assets, then they still have what's left of their money.
Some of that. So number one, what is your thought? If we can be quick, I want to at least get 2 questions in. But what are your thoughts on things like proof of reserves and other things that Congress can act on? I don't find a lot of comfort in knowing that Mr. Gensler thinks he has full authority to implement a regulatory regimen.
Get him!
I think he's been going a little bit too fast and a little bit too expansive
Get
on
him!
rulemaking, which is why I hope that Congress will act so that we get this right. So give me some ideas on singles and doubles.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question, Senator. Frankly, proof of reserves aren't worth the paper that they're written on. And I would just point to the proof of reserves that Binance had from Mazars until Mazars pulled it off of their website and stopped doing any work for crypto.
Is proof of reserves not a worthwhile pursuit? Or
so audits are worthwhile. So I think audits are a worthwhile pursuit. And I think that is a single, certainly that this Congress should look at. There's no reason that crypto intermediaries, exchanges, should not have full audits. Proof of reserves are not full audits.
We were talking about an independent third party reporting to the Treasury. So I think that may address the point you were making about worth the paper that they're written on.
Real quick, guys, it's a great idea to have audits for centralized exchanges, right? I would even prefer if they made a different agency that just looked over digital assets and particular centralized exchanges. It could fall under different things, but what is necessary here is not only quarterly audits, but, having from the government that is not corrupt, hopefully not Gary Gensler is, but somebody that could go and verify a customer X has $10,000 worth of XRP in his client account, and then they can match it on the back, matching everyone is holding what they're supposed to be holding. I do agree that should be a law, and that's the way that we should push this and the way that this should go. Giving full authority to the SEC, who stopped 0 bad actors. Sorry, they fined Kim Kardashian and some other jokers. They are bringing the pain into innovation growing in America. The SEC is here to kill innovation in America. Gary Gensler is working for JP Morgan and he's working for Goldman. Those are his clients. That's who he's working for.
Yeah, and I would say one other sort of single is requiring these crypto platforms to segregate firm assets from customer assets.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Professor Jing.
Proof of reserves can be defined a number of ways. At its simplest, it's like balancing your checkbook. And you could do that either through GAAP accounting disclosures or on-chain confirmations or supervisory exams. And so whatever method is chosen, it is just about verifying what is on-chain as well as what is off-chain.
Get him, Zhang.
Yeah, and by the way, maybe we need to get your opinion, but on the proof of reserves bill that we're working on in our office, we are trying to deal with commingling of customer funds. I think the things that you're getting at, so really making it have teeth, but I'll go to you, Ms. Yadav.
Thank you so much, Senator. Proof of reserves is something that is a ones and twos here to make sure that the methodology is clear, to make sure that the methodology is robust. What that means is that the liabilities are being fully disclosed. One of the problems right now is that it's not clear whether the liabilities that are being disclosed are in fact comprehensive. And so the ability to have third-party audits, as you suggest, that are robust and that are done systematically. In addition, also, we need to make sure that the internal controls that go into and underlie the proof of reserve. So for example, it's not enough simply just to disclose. It's important that the actual exchange has internal controls that can make sure that these assets are properly segregated, that the valuation of these assets is done, is marked to market on a very regular basis, and that the proof of reserve disclosures are done regularly. Giving us a snapshot once every 3 months is not going to be enough. These are things that are changing every day. In addition, also, it's not just proof of reserves, it's proof of solvency. Now, one of the things that is emerging in these different exchanges is that many of the balance sheets are made up of coins that essentially they are minting themselves, and the valuation there is not clear.
Something like that is BUSD, right? That's what she's referring to there.
In the case of FTX, for example, the FTT token has fallen precipitously in value. The exchange's own tokens, in the case of Binance and others, are constantly volatile. And so making sure that we have not just the disclosure of the reserves, but also making sure that the assets that are being held are liquid and tradable. One of the issues with these assets that are happening here is that the market for trading them is extremely thin. And so the ability for folks to cash out is limited by the fact that the actual exit is much less liquid than a proof of reserve by itself might suggest. So that's another thing that would be important to take into consideration.
I think she spoke very perfectly right there. I think she had some really good points. Having stuff, proof of reserves, a monthly report, or some type of legislation to bring that into the fold, I think that's a great idea. You have someone that can audit, maybe an audit every month, proof of reserves, and then they have to actually hold some money to back up their token supply on the exchange. I really think that was well said. This is the third video in a series of all this, right? So we went through, this is the first video was like that, and then the second video was these, and then this is the third video. So if you missed my other two videos, I'll try to remind Cass to link them below. Please go back and watch these clips. This is the conversation happening right now in Congress. This was this week, and we don't put pressure on our elected officials in our states, or even if you're in another country, then we are going to lose this fight. You need to speak up. I've been emailing senators and congresspeople, not even in my state. I have to lie about my zip code so I can, because they only want to deal with people in their district. They don't want to hear from Robert in California. They want to hear from Bobby Joe in Texas. So make sure you make your voice heard, right? Don't sit on the sidelines. Please do what you can. If we all do something, we can make positive change in digital assets for America so we can grow with the rest of the world, because the way things are being talked about in this hearing, America is going to be at the back of the bus, and projects will go to the UAE, they will go to the UK, they will go to Switzerland, they will go to Singapore, because they have clear guidance and they're able to build, and they're able to grow, and they don't have to worry about a Wells notice from the bald-headed gentleman from MIT who has no experience being a regulator, but he's buddies with Goldman Sachs and JP. That's why he got the job. Thank you so much. Subscribe, share with somebody you know. Let's get into it.